Thank you. Today is November 3rd, 2018. Precisely a year ago, we broke bread with sheriffs and first responders from South Texas in the wake of the Las Vegas shooting. And we met for lunch to discuss how we could help each other, how we could support each of our communities in the event of an emergency or an active shooter. Just 2 days later, I found myself responding to the worst active shooter event in Texas history, the Sutherland Springs Baptist Church shooting. And it's there that I realized that I needed to concentrate my efforts to ensure our citizens and our communities were trained to become survivors. Because an active shooter event can happen anywhere at any time. As a matter of fact, 50% of all active shooter events happen in a commercial environment. Church, movie theaters, mall, restaurants. 90% of the time, active shooter events are over in 10 minutes or less, about the time that I'll be speaking to you today. Half of the time, active shooter events are over before law enforcement arrives. And 1 out of every 5, the survivors are able to subdue the attacker. And this is why it's important that all of you develop a plan, because you are the true first responders. Who is this shooter? We have a handful of women, but the majority of the shooters have been a male acting alone. And the age ranges from teenagers to senior citizens. And he is coming from any race, ethnic, or religious background. So I just told you, active shooter can happen anywhere, anytime, any place, and the shooter could be anyone. So how do we prepare? We're going to learn. But we're going to learn before we start talking about the plan. Let's discuss how all of us react to danger. How many of us have participated in a fire drill? And what's the first thing we did in the fire drill? We got up and we left, right? Lies. The first thing that you all did was to ask, is this for real? And immediately after that, you find yourself like a prairie dog looking over your cubicles to see if somebody else was moving. Am I lying? Now I see people pointing at each other. What happens is that you are denying that there's anything wrong. And when you look for what your peers are doing in the office, you're looking for social proof. Well, this happened because our brain tries to understand what happened around us and frames it into daily experiences. And this is the reason why a lot of people tend to not understand danger. They try to soften danger. This is not going to happen here. And when we're looking around to see what others are doing and trying to get that social proof, I tell you today that a single individual, well prepared, with a plan, can set the stage for everybody else to follow and save life. And that's what we're going to do today. Because when we are under stress, our brain tends to shut down. And when we shut down, we default to act based on our experiences, our training, or our plan. Allow me another example. Many years ago, when the Russians were coming the first time, go back. In school, many of us practice as a safety drill, duck and cover. And this safety drill was intended to help us act under stress. And we learned that. If there's an attack, under the desk, under the table. And if you grew up in the West Coast, you train and practice in school for earthquakes, under the desk, under the table. And if you grew up in the Midwest, you practice for tornado response, under the desk, under the table. And if you grew up like me in the Caribbean, you practice for hurricane response by going and buying beer. So, but seriously, this is a training scar. And when the bullets are flying, it's not the moment to start planning. Because our brains are going to shut down and we're not going to be able to plan. Going under the table is not the answer. So, how can we change this? Well, I invite you today, all of you, that the next time that you're going out and about, to the mall, to the movies, to the theater, to a restaurant, change your security stand. Start practicing. Be a survivor. Because we don't want victims. We want survivors. Let's take a visit to the restaurant, for example. When you arrive and with your loved one and you ask the young lady or the young man for a table and they tell you it's going to be 45 minutes, don't sit down. I invite you to take a walk in the restaurant. Let's find the kitchen. You're not going into the kitchen. Health department told me not. I got many calls, people walking into kitchens. Look where the kitchen is, because there's going to be an exit in that kitchen. There's going to be a door. What if this restaurant has takeout food? That's another door. Learn what those doors are, because you already know where you came from. You want an alternate route, just in case that one is blocked. What about your restaurant that you're thinking right now has a bar? Let's go to the bar. And sir, we're not looking for the top shelf tequila. We're looking for that door that most likely is going to be at the bar, because that's where we pull the drunk people out, right? So now you have exit doors. You know the routes. Look around the restaurant that you're imagining right now. There's going to be glass windows. Well, when you walk in the restaurant, identify where the fire extinguisher is at. A fire extinguisher is a great tool, and you can use it to break a glass and create a secondary exit. What we do matters for us and for others. And now that we know about making a plan, identifying the routes, exit routes, practice. Mentally practice that plan. And know that that plan is there for you to become a survivor. And now you're thinking, if I only had a way that I can remember everything that he told me, I'm going to give you a way. And we're going to thank the Advanced Law Enforcement Rapid Response Training Program, ALERT, at Texas State University in San Marcos. Because they developed a simple 3-step program that we can all remember to save life. Is avoid, deny, and defend. The first step, avoid. Avoid is simply get away. Move away from the danger. Find the exit, know the exit, get out. Create enough distance between you and the threat. Second step, if you cannot get away from the person, deny. And you can accomplish this by moving away to a room and closing the door. A locked door is going to protect you from the attacker. And once you're inside, barricade that door with everything you have, every furniture item. But sometimes, even if you avoid and you're denying, the attacker keeps coming after you. Now, it's time to defend. And when you defend, remember the attacker is coming to kill you. And you're defending yourself and the life of all those innocent people around you. Ladies, I've seen the stuff that you carry in your purses. Utilize all these magnificent weapons that you carry. Remember the fire extinguisher that I mentioned before? If you know what a fire extinguisher is, and you empty that fire extinguisher in somebody's eyes, it's going to blind them. And the empty bottle makes a great weapon. Now, the attacker is going to be outnumbered, 10, 20, 30 to 1. Those are good odds. Maybe yourself and 2 or 3 others can rush the attacker. Yeah, you're most likely going to get shot. But see, fear, the emotion of fear is normal in a situation like this. But while fear is an emotion, courage is a decision. What you do matters. You have the right to defend yourself. We don't want victims. We want survivors. Today is November 3rd, 2018. And through TEDxSanAntonio, in a symbolic gesture, you and I broke bread, hoping that we never again have to respond to another active shooter, but knowing that we can be prepared to be survivors. Thank you.